Welcome. What is up? Welcome to the Mixer. I'm your host RC. I'm joined by my buddy here, Jeff. Jeff, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm happy to be
Welcome
back
back.
in San Diego.
So there's two of us today. We're gonna go over the usual. We're gonna try to sneak in an underdog draft, and we are already in a lobby, so we'll cut into that once the lobby fills, rather than have us just sit around and try to kill time.
So you got
First things first, like us, subscribe to us on all social channels at FCY Mixer. Our website is fcymixer.com. You can listen to the podcast on iTunes, all the usual podcast streaming apps, sites, and we are on YouTube. You can watch us, see our lovely setup. Jeff's got a visual appearance enhancement today. You could check that out on the YouTube channel. He's looking quite dapper. You could see my mic that I forget to turn on and use, like on the last one, so the audio sounded like crap. Apologies. And yeah. So that's our intro. Welcome in, Jeff. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Still recovering. I was in Vegas all last weekend. Also, it's your pick.
Oh,
But
dang, I'm on the clock. I'm on the
yeah,
clock. I'll share my screen in a second. I got the 101. I'm taking Derrick Henry.
there you go.
Here we go. We're bringing you the action right away. Right away here. This is the type of entertainment you've come to expect. So this is a 6-team week. What week are we in? Six team
Week
week 6 underdog draft. Imported my ranks. So we're all ready to go. I don't want to record my screen twice. So I got Derrick Henry. It is a very thin running back week. Alex Madison going number 3 and Mike Davis going number 2 gives you an idea of what the running back situation is like.
I mean, even if everyone were here, they might go top 5, given the workloads they're gonna get.
That's true. That's true. We got some people on auto pick here, so it should go even quicker. The big news, Le'Veon Bell signed with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
Frustrating CEH owners. Jeff, what are your initial thoughts on this move?
It really depends on how we're looking at it. If we're looking at it short term, like this season, it's definitely worrisome. Because Andy Reid historically, people have talked about it. He likes to have a bell cow. So I get that. So people are worried Lev might come in and take over that role. Although CEH has this week for sure, because Le'Veon Bell has to sit out 5 days before he can even join the team. But it's only a 1-year contract. It's not like it's long-term or anything. The Chiefs did use a first-round pick on Clyde, and Clyde has been productive. It's not like he's been terrible. He's had some bad red zone opportunities, and part of that is, I think, just play calling and how teams are playing the Chiefs down there. Like, I mean, he had a catch for a touchdown a week or two ago that got called back.
Yeah.
And that was like a red zone opportunity too. So, it's kind of, I think he's getting dogged a little bit for things that may not necessarily be his fault. But he also hasn't exceeded expectations. So there is some worry rest of season. I think long-term in Dynasty, I'm really not worried because I doubt very highly Le'Veon Bell's there next year. Considering it was only a 1-year deal, he's going to try to go get more money next year, is my thought. But I mean, yeah, that's where I'm at. I think the worst thing that happens is Clyde loses out on a lot of the third down touches he's been getting. and he really just becomes a first and second down guy. But I'm not all that worried in general because who knows? Bell might just be washed at this point too. He had so many carries and touches for a few years in Pittsburgh. You never know what's going on with him there.
Yeah, I share some similar thoughts. CH burst onto the scene. Obviously, the first game, it was that nationally, it was a primetime game, the Thursday night football. Got the season started off, so he was the talk of the fantasy and just NFL world because of that. And then he's performed pretty well, but like you touched on, he wasn't getting into the end zone as much as maybe we'd be hoping. Lev Bell coming over does obviously hurt his ceiling a little bit. However, we see this all the time. You said that there is a chance that Lev is just washed. And I feel like we've seen this happen with wide receivers mainly. However, we have seen it a bit with running backs. What comes to mind is every time Josh Gordon comes back, people think he's going to be a wide receiver one, if not the wide receiver one. And spoiler alert, he hasn't been. When Percy Harvin, my one-time favorite player in the NFL, when he went to Seattle, everybody thought he was gonna take over there, and he didn't do that great. Adrian Peterson has landed on teams before, and we thought, when he was younger, he was gonna take over. And I mean, he's had some productive days, but never to the level of his, of what he used to be. And so I feel like it's more likely that Lev Bell is just there in a complimentary role, and no doubt an upgrade over Darrell Williams for the Chiefs. However, I don't expect him to be getting 10 plus touches and going for 100 plus yards on the regular.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. And we see fairly often, good teams just like to bring in players a lot of times. It never hurts to add more talent, no matter how good you are. So anytime you can get someone like Lev Bell with the history that he has for incredibly cheap. Sorry about that. My dogs are going crazy. But Lev Bell, they're not having to pay him anything. I haven't seen the contract, but the Jets still owe him an ungodly amount of money for running backs, and anytime you can bring in someone, inexpensive like that, it's one of those things like, why not do it,
Yeah. I see it from all sides. As a CEH owner, I'm hoping for the best for him still, but
with you on that.
We'll have to see. And then our draft's done. We didn't get to touch too much while it was going through, but let's see what the roster composition looks like here. So, view full draft. All right. What pick did you have, Jeff?
I had the third pick.
The third. For the brand.
Yep.
So, I wound up with Derrick Henry, James Conner, Mike Evans, Aaron Rodgers, Marquise Brown, and Robert Tonyan. That's my tight end. The team drafting second ended up with Mike Davis, Mark Andrews, James Robinson, Will Fuller, Robbie Anderson, and Ben Roethlisberger. Jeff, you took Alexander Madison, number 3. Kareem Hunt in the second round, Allen Robinson, Cooper Kupp, Tannehill, and TJ Hawkinson. Fourth guy took Jonathan Taylor, Adam Thielen, Kenny Galladay, Mike Gesicki, Justin Jefferson, and Cam Newton. Fifth guy took Aaron Jones, Calvin Ridley, Raheem Mostert, Deshaun Watson, Johnny Smith, Robert Woods, and then the last guy, he took Devontae Adams, George Kittle, Lamar Jackson, A.J. Brown, Terry McLaurin, Miles Sanders. How you feel about your team, Jeff?
I don't know. I mean, I like Madison. Hunt was more of just I like Kareem, and I'm a Browns fan. I love Allen Robinson. I think Cooper Kupp against the 49ers goes crazy. I think he goes like 10 for 120 or something like that. And then, Tannehill and Hawkinson. I really wanted Aaron Rodgers, but you took him. And then it came back to me, so I took the guy. I could see Tennessee-Houston being a shootout to an extent.
Yeah.
They're going to have to put some points on the board. And then Hawkinson is just he was just a tight end to throw a dart, right? Stafford seems to like him, so.
We'll see how this works out. I keep getting guys that are injured on both my DraftKings lineup and Underdogs lineups. I was heavy on Dak last week. Whoops. I believe I was heavy on Saquon the week that he got hurt. So, simulation is taunting me, it would seem. All right, let's get back into our main topics here. So now that the draft is out of the way, let's just go straight into talking more NFL. So COVID is having its way with the NFL at the moment. It's, the NFL's defense to COVID is worse than the Maginot Line. I haven't seen a defense so bad with so many holes in it since the Maginot Line. That's a World War II reference out there for you guys. Anywho, so Atlanta had one personnel team member, not a player. Schefter tweeted some fake news out. Apparently that some players were infected, but it was just a team member. They had to close their facility temporarily. It sounds like they're back and going, so no cancellations there. There was several positive tests for the Colts today. It sounds like their game is on as well. I have not seen any clarification on that. Have you? Since this morning?
Came back negative.
Okay, false positives.
Yeah, that's what they said. So, it was Colts had one player and 3 staff members with positive tests. They reran them, and turns out they were false positives. So that game's still on.
Good deal. Everybody's very tense about the COVID testing, it seems, in the NFL and the possible schedule shuffling that's going to have to go on because of what happened with the Titans. So we did say early on we were going to get a lot of content on this, and early indications are that seems true. They're talking about coming up with a bubble for the playoffs, which makes sense. The bubble, I mean, you can't say it was anything other than successful. It exceeded my expectations for the NBA. There was no outbreaks there. I'm really surprised. Are you surprised at all, Jeff, that the bubble works so well? You've been team bubble for a while, though.
I mean, not really, to be honest. It makes sense that it would work, right? Because you have, if you take people that theoretically don't have COVID and you remove them from potential COVID people, and you basically make it so potential COVID people can't get in, right? And so there's no interactions there, then yes, like you should be able to, your chances of getting COVID should be extremely low at that point. So it makes sense to me that the NBA was successful. I'm not surprised the NFL didn't do it right away. There's a lot more people involved per team. So it'd be really difficult to do that. But for the playoffs, I would be surprised if they don't do some sort of like two bubble thing, one on the West Coast, one on the East Coast. I could see like LA and New York, just because I think there's enough stadiums around those areas. That's one of the big problems the NFL has too, is unless they're going to play in Texas at all the high school stadiums out there, is like, where do you play?
Yeah.
I hope the NFL does it at some point. Well, I really hope the NFL gets there. With the way things are going, and it seems like a new team each week is popping up with COVID tests positive, and then it seems like another team is continuing to have those problems. I'm still a little skeptical that we get there, although I'm optimistic about it. But yeah, heck, the Patriots again today had to shut down practice because of a test. So
yeah, it seems like a lot of this is being done on the fly, the way they're coming up with it, which is disappointing. The NFL had the most time to prepare compared to the other sports because of the timing of the pandemic and community spread happened. What was it? March 7th, the NBA shut down and postponed, and the NFL had the rest of the spring and all of the summer to put together protocols, and it seems like they're coming up with it on the fly, which a lot of businesses do. Maybe I've seen it firsthand. But yeah, with so much writing on it, you would think that they would have had a more structured plan for how they were handle this, and there's more indications as far as positive tests go in a lot of communities that community spread is more prevalent, and the more the virus is out in the community and these players aren't bubbled up, they might be taking every precaution, but they're still having their food delivered. They still have to go to the grocery store. They're still living with their families, and their families are going out. Their kids are going to school. There's just all kinds of ways that these people can come in contact with the virus.
Right.
And, as we move to the colder months, they might be able to have certain like team meetings outdoors and that sort of thing. Now those are being moved into conference rooms. Do they do more Zoom stuff? It's just, there's a lot of logistics that have to go into it. And the more that the weather cools down and the more that they have to be doing stuff indoors, it's just the greater potential for infection there is. So I suspect more outbreaks. This is just something we're going to have to wade through, and we'll just have to see how it all plays out. I suspect there will be at least 1 week at it. I don't know how that's going to work for fantasy matchups. It might be a disaster.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised the NFL has been so hesitant to just add like an 18th week to the season. Considering, just as an example, the Broncos-Patriots game for this Sunday, that the Patriots just had to cancel practice today because of a positive test. If you had an 18th week, maybe you give those teams another bye, that kind of thing. I know it's not completely fair to everyone, but you could just build in a bye week, you know what I mean?
Week 18 DFS would be lit.
Yeah.
So, exciting stuff. I embrace the chaos. Chaos is a ladder. Little finger. Anywho, we'll see how it plays out. We'll be here to cover it, right? So, skipping down, we are matched up in fantasy football this week. Jeffrey,
we are.
You're 1-4. What's your team name? Mayor's Moneymakers or something?
No, it's Thomas Anderson.
Thomas Anderson. That's right. A little Matrix reference to all those anti-simmers out there.
Yep.
Shouts. Taking on me at 2-3. Yes. We're struggling. So you got some guys on bye. I got some decent matchups. I like my chances. I don't know how you feel about your team.
I mean, to be honest, like I've talked to Mason about this a few times. I feel pretty good about my team if it can stay healthy. The problem I've had really each week is I've had somebody go down, it feels like, or multiple people. I got my one win week 1 against Mason, where I scored 130 or something like that. Not a great score, but not terrible. But since then I had Saquon go down, I had Cam go out. I mean, last week I scored 94 points or whatever, and I had both quarterbacks out after halftime with injuries, essentially, right? Garoppolo could hardly move with his ankle, so Shanahan takes him out, and he wasn't playing very well. And then I had Kyle Allen, who got off to a hot start for the Washington football team, and then takes a hit from Jalen Ramsey, I think it was, and is out for the rest of the game. Now, that provided one of the best moments of the weekend with Alex Smith being able to play. But I essentially took 8 points out of my 2 quarterbacks last week because they both can't finish a game, I've also had A.J. Brown go out, Galladay go out. I look at my team. I like the makeup. Can I even get a full game out of everyone?
It's almost like somebody's after you, Mr. Anderson.
I know.
We're on to you, Sean. We're on to you. Anywho.
Real quick.
I feel you.
I did pick up Andy Dalton this week.
Oh, nice.
I'm very happy about that. Not that he's going to be exactly what Dak Prescott has been, but I don't think it's the biggest drop-off from Dak to Andy Dalton.
You've been listening to Cowherd?
No. I think Dak's significantly better than Dalton at football. I mean fantasy-wise. Like, you look at all the weapons there, and you look at some of the seasons he was able to put up in Cincinnati, like, he's not a terrible fantasy quarterback.
Yeah. Those words won't come back to haunt you. I was pretty excited about getting Andy Dalton, Jeff Mayer, week 6.
Hey, when you've had these injuries, you would have been excited about it too.
That's a good point. I actually had a claim in for Dalton, so, but it's for like $25, which is 2% of our fab because we have $1,000 budget, but Anywho, I got Joe Flacco as my third, so I figured he was an upgrade over Flacco, who, maybe has one more week. Anywho, we'll have to report how we do. I landed Devontae Adams in a trade. I was pretty happy about that. I was going after DK Metcalf pretty hard. I couldn't land him, unfortunately. However, maybe something, I still want to improve my my wide receivers a little bit, but we'll have to see how our teams get better. A lot of times, these teams that get out the gate quick just aren't able to keep it up throughout the season, and teams with a little more depth are able to. So there's still time. Is all I'm saying. If you're in the same boat as us, we feel you. Hit us up if you have any questions, lineup decisions. Tweet me at FCYMXer, or just reach out to me direct. Most of the people listening know me, and they can just ask. Happy to. And I suppose the same goes for Jeff. If you look in the show notes, his Twitter's on there, so give him a follow as well, and bug him. Similarly, not going so well, at least for me, are my pick'ems, having a very, very off year. Did you want to go through the NFL games, Jeff, and go over, what we might think happen, or?
We can if you want.
Yeah. So, we'll just go through the list here. So I'll start with the morning games. The Atlanta Falcons are on the road to Minnesota. Minnesota are 3.5-point favorites. Minnesota's, Dalvin Cook is out. They've been okay. They've been okay, not great. Atlanta has been great, but lost. I mean, I guess their offense has been great in spots, not so much the last few weeks. Matt Ryan looks like he's on team washed. Any chance the Falcons upset the Vikings here?
I mean, I definitely think there's a chance. I don't think the Vikings are the greatest team, but
they can't get the skull chance going.
Yeah, that's the tough part. But I think the Vikings are more consistent than the Falcons. But if the Falcons show up the way they played the first couple weeks of the season, I think they win the game. Because if Minnesota can score with them in that sense. I just, like you, Matt Ryan's looked terrible for a few weeks now. And it's kind of surprising given some of the weapons that they have there, how bad he's looked at times. But, new head coach now. So we'll see if there's anything new happens. But I would go Vikings here.
Yeah, I'm going Vikings as well, convincingly. I think they cover. I think the Falcons are just rolling it up. Next up, Baltimore Ravens versus the Philadelphia Eagles, Mid-Atlantic battle. So Baltimore 8-point favorites. I mean, needless to say, Baltimore is one of the best teams in the NFL. Eagles, not so much. I do think there is a chance the Eagles cover. However, I think the Ravens take this one. Lamar Jackson has kind of struggled. Do you think he gets right in this game, Jeff?
I mean, I think it depends on what a get-right game means for him.
A QB1 performance at least. Maybe even top 5 or top 6, because he's been out of the top 15, I think, 3 out of 4 weeks or something ridiculous.
It might. I mean, Philly's defense is pretty good against the run, so it might require Lamar to do a little more through the air. But, the problem is the Ravens have been so good against teams that aren't very good that, Lamar just may not play the fourth quarter like he's done already this season. And so that holds him back a little bit in the sense of, like, if they're up and he's at, 18 to 20 fantasy points already, but they're up by 21, Harbaugh doesn't play him in the fourth,
Yeah.
So that's what's kind of held him back a little bit. Also, they don't really have a whole lot outside of Marquise Brown and Mark Andrews. And Marquise Brown isn't a super high volume guy. Like, he gets a lot of their volume, but he's not a Michael Thomas in the sense of, like, he's going to get a lot of catches and do a lot with it. So I think the way they play kind of hurts Lamar's value to an extent if they're not getting the big plays.
Right. And I feel like last year Baltimore was blowing people out because they were getting those big plays. Hollywood Brown had some long passes at the start of the year before he got injured. Their defense was making a lot of splash plays, getting turnovers. And Lamar Jackson obviously was getting chunk runs. And that seems to be what's missing this year. They were blowing people out. They were putting up 40 to 50 points pretty regularly last season, and we haven't seen that yet this year. So I'm curious if maybe everybody just has this kind of misperception of Baltimore being a dominant team because of, just because of some variance last year and just things clicking. And
I mean, I think
if their struggles are more indicative of the type of team they are, still far better than league average, but maybe not the elite of the elite, how they looked at points last year.
Yeah, and I think something that I think people fall in love with is those big splash plays, right? And yet, if you look like year over year, it's very hard to reproduce those.
Yeah.
And so I'm a little surprised that they haven't felt like a better team so far this year. I mean, they still feel really good. Don't get me wrong. But I like you. I'm a little surprised they haven't put up like 40 points a game against some of these bad teams. But it could just be the variance, right? Like you're not getting those big splash plays, so now you're having to work a little harder. It takes a little longer to score. You know, results in less fantasy points for people.
Yeah. I actually picked the Eagles to cover in this one. I believe the line's at 7.5 now. So, I mean, we'll see. The Eagles are scrappy. It wouldn't surprise me if they had an upset, but it would be a pretty big upset. Next game, Bears, Panthers. Carolina favored in this game. They are at home, favored by 2. It's a little surprising to me. The Bears are 4-1. So, I mean, this is essentially usually the home team gets 3 points. Carolina's getting 2.5 points. Any chance? I mean, which way are you leaning on this one?
I'm leaning the Carolina wins going away side.
Interesting.
I think Carolina is a better.
Bears are frauds.
Huh?
Are you saying the Bears are frauds?
The Bears are the worst 4-1 team I can remember in my mind.
Ooh,
like they are not good.
I like you.
And like they've been able to squeak out wins, which is great for them, right? It's great record-wise, but like they're not good. I think if you've watched them play, we can all kind of agree on that. The Panthers, this is also partly, I think the Panthers are just better than I think people think they are. Their defense wasn't great the first couple weeks of the season. That's why they have a couple losses. But, and I think in both their losses, or one of them they had a bad game. The other one they put up like 30 plus, so it's kind of, and they've won the other 3 games. So I think Carolina's a pretty good team. I think they win this by 7 or more, to be honest.
You heard it here. I'm going to go the other way. I think the Bears keep, I wouldn't say rolling. I'm going to say they keep figuring it out or lucking into it. However, I've been doubting the Panthers for a while now, and they keep finding ways to win themselves. So it'll be interesting to see how this game plays out. It's the line's going to be drawn. One of these teams is going to be in contention. The other one's frauds.
Yeah,
I think will be the ultimate outcome of this game. Next up, Bengals, Colts. Colts are favored by 4.5. No, the Colts are favored by 8. Big line. Phillip Rivers has struggled lately. They're at home. Joe Burrow not looked the greatest the past 2 weeks. Any chance Joe Burrow gets it together and they challenge the Colts?
I mean, I picked the Bengals to win this. So I don't think the Colts are great. I think Phillip holds them back, to be completely honest. I feel bad saying that because, like, Phillip was very good for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not quite there. He feels very much like Peyton Manning in his last season, in the sense of, like, he's faking it more than anything. He's trying, but he's just not good anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think the Bengals are particularly good yet, but I think they have a chance. They're explosive enough. I think they can do something.
Yeah. So similar, I mean, I share similar thoughts. Yesterday, I saw a Facebook memory from 2012, and I said that Rivers was washed. I said he's not stepping into his throws. He doesn't have the arm strength. It looks like these are going to be several losing seasons coming up here while the Chargers search for a new quarterback. that may or may not have aged well. I mean, I guess they made the playoffs 2 years after that with Rivers. However, his arm strength has been down, and I think having that Chargers bias for so long, I haven't noticed it because I have heard analysts say he can't throw a deep ball. And I was like, what are you talking about? He always throws it deep. And then now seeing Justin Herbert, I'm like, oh, that's a deep ball.
Yeah.
I get it. So, anywho, I've been picking against the Colts pretty much every game. Hasn't had the best results. I don't know if the Bengals have enough to beat them. However, I did pick the Bengals to cover. I think I picked the Colts to win.
I also think I've seen this floated around on Twitter, but I pretty much agree with it. The Colts clearly aren't sold on Jacoby Brissett, right? Or else they wouldn't have brought in Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
So why not trade for Darnold or Haskins? Right? They're both clearly available from teams. I doubt you have to pay. You're not having to give up a first-round pick for either of them. You know? Why not bring in a young guy who doesn't have to start right away? Can if you want him to. But, the Colts have a pretty solid setup there. If they got a good quarterback in there, I think they'd be a pretty good team. I just don't think Rivers is that guy anymore.
Right. I mean, that's what they were hoping for when they brought Rivers, that they had, their offensive line was praised for being the best in the NFL. They got Jonathan Taylor. Their defense was a little bit better. They thought they had the ingredients to be a playoff team. I guess they're still in there. But, realistically, it doesn't look like they have that high of a ceiling.
Right.
So, I'm not sure how much Rivers, but I know Jacoby Brissett's contract, when we were talking quarterback contracts over the summer, wasn't exactly team friendly. And then I remember Rivers signed for like 12 mil a year. So if they can maybe cut Rivers, they can maybe have enough. I guess Darnold probably wouldn't cost that much, and neither would Haskins. I'm not sure how their rookie contracts are involved in that. Anywho, but yeah, I see it. I definitely see it as a possibility, and probably would be the best move for them, leaving out the financial impact.
Right.
Next game, your Cleveland Browns taking on the Steelers in Pittsburgh. Pretty solid matchup here. Pittsburgh's 3.5-point favorites, which means Vegas kind of sees these teams as equal.
Mm-hmm.
Your Browns, what can they do on Sunday?
I mean, realistically, since they got smacked up by the Ravens, they've looked pretty solid. And Baker hasn't played particularly great yet. I'll be interested to see if Odell plays. He missed practice because of an illness that they said was not COVID. I don't think he practiced today. I'm not 100% certain on that. If he doesn't play, I definitely lean Steelers more. But to be honest, I'm picking in our Pick'ems game, I'm picking the Browns because I think most people will pick the Steelers, and I need to make a comeback. So I'm hoping that they win, but in reality, I would still probably pick the Steelers. The Steelers haven't been tested by anyone. I think I saw a thing the other day that in their 4 wins, the teams they've played are like 3-13 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So they haven't played anyone, but I do think the Steelers are a solid team. Although I do think this is a close game. I could see this finishing as like a 24-23 type game, something like that.
Yeah, it is a division game, so when the teams are more familiar with each other, it could go, usually it is more competitive. I think the Steelers are the better team. I think they win. I think they cover. I think they, could even be the class, not the best team in the AFC, but I do not see them too far behind Baltimore as far as their outlook for the season. thus far. Chase Claypool with his 4 touchdowns last week. They have weapons on offense. We'll see how this one plays out, though. I am intrigued to watch this one. Due to time, I'm just gonna kind of pick some of the games that are interesting here rather than go through Jets, Dolphins, Lions, Jags, and Broncos, Patriots, or Giants and Washington football team. Let's talk Packers, Bucs in Tampa Bay, afternoon game. If you had to guess, what would you say the line is in this game?
I would do like Green Bay minus 4.5 or something like that.
When I first saw this game, it was a pick. It was a straight pick 'em. So I did bet it, and I took the Packers. But yeah, it's right now. I guess the line is Green Bay minus 2, which surprised me. I thought it would be Green Bay minus 3, so I was right there with you. I don't know if a lot of people just bet Tom Brady all the time because that's what they've done forever, and that's influencing it. But the Bucs have not looked all that impressive, and the Packers have. But I am looking forward to watching this game.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd put all my money on the Packers. Whatever I had to bet on this game, I would pick them. I don't think the Bucs are all that good.
No. Poor Tom. It must be rough for him having 6 titles, a few beautiful children, and a supermodel wife. Oof. I mean, man, how does he get out of bed? It's obviously getting to him. He can't even remember what down it is. Anywho, then we got the primetime games, and I'm gonna skip Rams Niners because we already talked about them a little bit. The Chiefs are heading up to visit the Bills Mafia in Buffalo. A little Monday night football. We get another Monday night football doubleheader. This game says at 5. This game starts 2 Pacific time. Wow, on Monday. That'll be interesting. Anywho, the Chiefs are 3.5-point favorites. I believe Buffalo is now what? Oh, I guess both these teams are 4-1.
Mm-hmm.
So both coming off losses. Kansas City's obviously the favorites. The Bills can really kind of cement themselves as a contender for the AFC Championship with a win here. Do you think that's possible? Josh Allen gonna do something crazy?
I mean, I definitely think the Bills winning is possible. The Chiefs haven't played particularly great so far this year, although they're 4-1. I think just picking the game, I think that the Chiefs would be the pick. Although, Buffalo has probably looked better overall in the games that they've won. But, this is tough. The Chiefs, you could look at it and minus a couple, we were talking about variance with the Ravens earlier, minus a couple unique plays that the Raiders had that don't come around very often, like a 60-yard touchdown that happened twice, basically. The Raiders lose by a touchdown, if neither of those happen. Instead, they win by a touchdown. The Chiefs could be 5-0, right?
Yeah.
And, in my mind, the Chiefs haven't particularly played all that well yet, other than their Ravens game. They are known to get up for games like this, so I could see the Chiefs winning by 14 plus just because, that seems like the type of team they are.
Mm-hmm.
But I would pick the Chiefs here. Yeah, I just think they're too good for the Bills. Although I do think the Bills are for real as a playoff team.
Same. I think the stage is just going to be too big for the Bills at this point in time. I think Josh Allen's going to make some mistakes, trying to do too much, trying to cement, nailed it, their status as far as AFC contenders. I think they still have some growing to do. And I think the Chiefs show them that. The main Monday night game in the regular Monday night time slot with our wonderful ESPN crew, rest in peace, Booger. Arizona Cardinals are on the road to Dallas. Dallas, Dak is out. They've had their struggles. They are 1-4. Somehow, only underdogs by 2.5 points. Any chance the Cowboys win one for Dak?
I mean, there's a chance. Like I said earlier, I don't think Dalton's a bad quarterback. I think his time right now in Cincinnati, right? Like I don't think he's a game changer, right? He's not a guy you want to put 30+ million a year into. But I think he's going to show that he's probably the best backup in the league outside of Jameis Winston. And I think that there's a very good chance Dallas wins that game. I know you said it's Arizona minus 2.5, but I believe before the Dak injury, Dallas was favored by like 4 or something like that. It was like a touchdown swing, I believe, is what I read when Dak got hurt.
Interesting.
And, I like Arizona. I like Kyler. Dallas's defense hasn't been great this year. But I could very easily see Dallas winning this game. Although I do pick the Cardinals.
This is the boat race special. I think Arizona is going to get their offense humming, and Dallas will put up points, but they won't be able to keep up because they're just outmatched at the quarterback position.
Yep.
So those are the matchups. I ended up playing a parlay this week. So here's my 3-team parlay for the brand. If you have gambling problems, there are resources online. I suggest you check them out. I play in small amounts, no more than an hour's worth of my pay per week. So, yeah, just for fun. I got Cincinnati +8 against the Colts. So, hoping they can keep it close. I got Green Bay against the Bucs straight up. And then I have Arizona covering the 2.5 against the Cowboys. And then I also, I didn't add it on here since it's a 3-team parlay for the brand, but seeing the over-under, I couldn't help but add it. Do you know what the over-under is for the Lions and Jags?
48.
55.
Dang.
Yeah. I looked at that and I was like, that seems way too high. I was like, I'm just going to add it in here. It's probably stupid, but yeah, I thought I mean, obviously there's a possibility that game could just shoot out, but
right.
I don't see it. Matthew Stafford on the road is going to put up 30.
You never know.
Yeah. Anywho, so
breaking news.
What's up?
I traded Marquise Brown. And
I have Marquise Brown.
Not in our league.
Oh.
In the old Best Buy league. This is a trade with Jake.
Uh-huh.
I traded Marquise Brown and Antonio Gibson, and I received Michael Thomas in return.
Well done. Hopefully, Drew Brees finds his arm. Or Jameis gets
worried about that because Michael's more than happy catching the ball 5 yards from the line of scrimmage.
Good point. So congrats. Both of us landing some stud receivers. I believe consensus 1 and 2. Michael Thomas, consensus 1. Devontae Adams, consensus number 2 receiver going into the draft.
Also, if you have Chase Claypool anywhere, Deontay Johnson has been ruled out for the game on Sunday. So start Chase Claypool. Have fun with that one.
He is in my DraftKings lineup.
You know whose DraftKings lineup he was in last week? Mine.
Oh, well done. Not in mine. DraftKings has not been going well for me. So that is the NFL reports. Let's touch on baseball briefly, if you still got time, Jeff.
I got time.
So the Dodgers are down. I mean, you hate to see it. Kershaw not being able to have a good performance when needing it most seems to be an annual thing. They lost last night to the Braves. 8-2 was the last score I saw. I think they ended up losing 10-2, 10-3.
I thought it got to 10.
Anywho, the day before that, the Dodgers had the huge first inning, put up 11 runs. Looked like they really made a statement that they were going to put up a fight, and they kind of rolled over last night. Atlanta leads the series 3-1. Tampa Bay had the chance to complete the sweep last night here in San Diego at Petco Park. They dropped the game against the Astros. Correa hit a walk-off, if I'm not mistaken. That series is at 3-1.
3-2 now.
Oh, it's 3-2? Houston had 1-1 before that?
Yeah.
Apologies. They were down 3-0, weren't they?
I believe so. Something like that. Or it might have been 2-0 and then 2-1 and then 3-1. I'm looking real quick.
So the Astros are making a series of it. However, I think the series everybody wants, the Dodgers, Astros. I mean, obviously we don't. Being in San Diego, we root against anything LA. Except for the LA Chargers. Anyway, it doesn't look like we're going to get that though.
It does not.
Out of Atlanta and Tampa Bay, the two teams that are most likely going to be in the World Series, do you have a strong leaning one way or the other? Who you'd be pulling for?
Atlanta, just because I like Acuna.
I do like some Acuna. The Rays have Margot and Renfroe, former Padres. I'd like to see them have success, but not enough to really have a strong rooting interest. I think I'd just be rooting for a good series.
Yeah.
So we'll be covering the World Series as it comes. Jeff.
Yeah.
The Los Angeles Lakers are champs. You didn't have a chance to celebrate.
Of course. I was in
earlier this week. How do you feel? How do you feel with the Lakers being champs?
I'm incredibly happy. It's ring number 4 for LeBron with his third team. Fourth finals MVP. Anthony Davis's first finals win.
Mm-hmm.
It was exciting. The last game was a little depressing. It wasn't really a game for very long. But I think one thing that I have a new appreciation for in this series is we see with certain guys that, they do things night in and night out, right? Like think of LeBron, think of Giannis, think of Durant, right? Mm-hmm. And they do 25 to 30 points. They're somewhere around 10 rebounds and usually over 5 assists a game, right? And they do it night in, night out, regular season, and especially when it comes to the playoffs, it feels right. And then we see a guy like Jimmy Butler, who may or may not be a top 10 player in the league, but he's pretty close, okay? And Jimmy could do it for a game, right? He did it at game 3. He put up, a 40-point triple-double, something like that. They win. Game 4, he comes back, and he clearly doesn't have the same energy, right? Doesn't have the same legs. Game 5, he does it again, 35-point triple-double or whatever. Game 6, he clearly doesn't have the same energy. Like, he was clearly done, right? Like,
yeah.
And I just think, for me, seeing that, seeing another guy that's, top 15 in the league not be able to do it every night is really kind of, eye-opening. What some of these guys do is really special, right? Now, it was him against LeBron, so it was more, for me, at the moment, in the eyes of, the fact he's in year 17, he's putting up 30, 10, and 10 night in, night out, basically in the finals, right? Like, just appreciate the greatness. But then you think about it, and you're like, Durant does the same thing, right? Giannis does the same thing, right? It's just an appreciation for these guys, you know? That's really what I gained out of it. But yeah, as a LeBron fan, I'm excited. You know, I'm a little disappointed we didn't get Lakers Clippers, but the Clippers didn't hold up their end of the bargain, right? We were talking about that.
I'm very disappointed. I'm very disappointed.
This also takes a little bit of the shine off of Kawhi, in the sense of Kawhi's big opportunity this year was to become the first player to lead 3 different franchises to an NBA title, right?
Yeah.
And now he would just be the second, right? Not that that's bad, but it does take a little bit of the shine away if Kawhi happens to do it next year.
Yeah, it definitely takes the shine away. I was hoping that was something that he would be able to do before LeBron. LeBron's obviously the superior talent. I don't think there's any disputing that. However, it is fun to have little nuggets like that so you can kind of troll your LeBron friends.
Exactly.
However you can. So that's the NBA season. It'll be back. It's not that long from now because of the wonderful schedule changes. I don't know if you had a chance to listen. Did the Kobe things make you cringe as much as they made me cringe, or am I just weird? Did you listen to that part of the last pod? Probably not.
No, I didn't. Sorry.
Well, I said, like Bleacher Report had some things where, Kobe's in his uniform and he has like a halo and he has his arm on LeBron, like he was approving, like that he was some divine spirit, like guiding them to this title. And I don't know why. It just made me feel really, really uncomfortable for some reason. And I struggled to come up with words. I'm just curious if you felt the same or if you're just like, whatever.
I mean, to be completely honest, I thought the Kobe thing was cool. I thought it was a uniting thing for the team, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for the city, because it becomes like, hey, let's do it for Kobe. He was the guy that was here for 20 years, right? He's still with supporting the franchise. Now we've got this new guy, right? So it's kind of a uniting thing for the franchise, right? So that was cool. But I do think it's a little overblown, right? And some of the things people were sharing, like I haven't seen the exact ones you've talked about, but I've definitely seen, some of the like people sharing Kobe pictures and like Kobe approves, and it's like, who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say that, but yeah.
Yeah, I feel you there. I just thought it was really weird. And I felt like, Kobe meant more to the Lakers than the Lakers meant to Kobe, if that makes any sense. And I don't know. I just don't I just like just because of the nature of the way he died with like his daughter and stuff, like I don't know. I just feel like putting the focus of Kobe. Okay, maybe this is it. I felt like when they did that, it put the focus of Kobe's of who he was as just the Lakers. I kind of felt like that because we haven't really seen that much. Well, at least I haven't seen that much about him other than his involvement with the Lakers as far as, reporting on his death and then bringing it in that way. I don't know. It just weirded me out for some reason. But that's probably just me being a little over analytical.
Probably.
So, I mean, we're coming up on an hour here, Jeff. Did you want to talk about the college football situation, or you just want to get some PF Chang's?
I think we should touch on college football real quick. Florida, a week or two ago, said everything was all the way open. And since then, there's been pretty much nothing but outbreaks in Florida.
Yeah.
I think my favorite thing that's happened, and I say favorite more jokingly than anything, was the Florida head coach coming out pretty much earlier this week and being like, hey guys, I want all 90,000 seats filled in our stadium for LSU this weekend. Blah, 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 blah. And literally the next day, the game got canceled.
Yeah.
An outbreak on the Florida team. And it wasn't just like a 3 or 4 player thing. From what I read, it was like 19 players tested positive. So I just, I don't fully know how I feel about all the like limiting people and the masks and this and that, other than I think people need to take responsibility for themselves and take their health and everything into their own hands. And I think part of that is masking up and avoiding people as much as possible. But with the way college football has gone about this, I'm not surprised at all that, games are being canceled. I know you have down here. I don't know if it's 20 games this weekend or 20 games total that have been postponed or canceled, but
it's 20 total. Yeah,
there's been a lot so far. And that doesn't even include like the Pac-12, which hasn't even started yet, right?
Yeah.
So, we'll see, but it's one of those things that like, I almost wish they would just cancel the season. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm curious what it'll take to get to that point, because college kids going to be a little harder to manage as far as, controlling their movements, their activities. Naturally, they're going to want to be out and such. So, there was the prediction that by some University of Illinois scientist, I believe, some data analyst scientist, that there was an estimate that 7 college football players would die ultimately if the country has a 30 to 50% infection rate, which I don't believe we are approaching at this point. I think it's more around 10% so far.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you would just hate to see that. And I hope, like you're saying, that the powers that be will take necessary action to prevent that from happening if we start to see more signs that, it is more prevalent, especially in these colleges and the players.
Yeah.
So we will keep an eye on that. We'll definitely be reporting back. And I guess just a reminder to everybody, stay safe, make good decisions, wear your mask, all that. We appreciate it. So I think that's going to wrap it up. Jeff, always a pleasure, my dude. Good luck in our matchup this week.
Good luck.
I hope you score exactly 1 point less than me.
I won't.
And we'll check in with you guys next week.
After I win. I'm
all right.
Right now.
All right. See you later. Bye, everybody. PF Changs. Out.
See ya.